Smith and Wesson, synonymous with making quality firearms for many a year. This is a Smith and Wesson M&P9L. This is the 5-inch slide, 9mm M&P that is to Australian standards. Now before we start, for all your safety buffs, no magazine inside. See straight through port, trigger is pulled. Martin here, and this is my Smith and Wesson M&P9. This is a firearm that I use for IPSC in production class. 9mm, 5-inch slide, and a magazine capacity of only 10. Australia, we are restricted to 10, and we are restricted to a 5-inch barrel. So this compares to your Glock 17 with the extended barrel, making it a 17A, or something along the lines of a Springfield XDM, but of course that would be a 5 1/4 inch, or the Glock 34 with a 5 1/4 inch barrel. This is the same size as a 1911 firearm, pretty much the same grip angle, and very similar controls. Of course, it does not have a safe external safety. You can get it with an external safety. I know California, America, I think requires an external safety, but this one is internal safeties and trigger safety only. This gun did come with completely standard 3-dot sights, 2 whites on the rear, 1 white on the front. I've actually changed out the front sight and put in a high-vis light pipe, an ultra, what are they called? Can't even think what they're called off the top of my head, I've lost it. They are an absolute bugger to get out the standard one and put in the real one, the replacement. Taking out the standard one, it actually broke the sight, but I got it in. And the rear is the standard factory sight with actually some electrical tape covering the dots. Only just the weekend just gone did I decide I'm going to try all black on red as opposed to 2 white on red. And I quite liked it, so I'm going to run it like this for a while. So what is a Smith & Wesson M&P9? Well, you can think of it along the lines of it is a Smith & Wesson Glock, if that makes sense. It's very similar internally workings to the Glock. It's a striker fired. The firing striker pin is in here, of course. There's no external hammer. It's an internally striker fired gun. So there's that age-old argument now since the 80s, since Glock came out with, is it a double action, is it a single action, or what is it? Some people call it a safe action. It's effectively a double action. There's only one, you only pull the trigger once and it does one action. But it's also a single action because it only does one thing. When the slide goes back, obviously it cocks it itself, it's pre-cocked, hence called safe action. It's neither double or safe action or single action. These from the factory have the trigger safety, so there's the little plunger in the middle, like a Glock. Now this is an aftermarket trigger. I removed the hinged in the middle Smith & Wesson trigger and have replaced it with a solid with, you can just see it there, the safety in the middle, similar to a Glock. This is an American Apex Tactical trigger. This is called the FSS trigger kit. It is supposed to be for competition only and is not recommended for carrying on your person as a daily carry for an American citizen, just because it is too light. This is somewhere in the range of 3.5 to 4 pounds. Again, I haven't had it on a trigger scale to know exactly, but I do know it is massively different from standard. We'll have a look at that again in a minute. So, as we were saying, what is the Smith & Wesson M&P9? Let's have a quick look inside. Now, this gun was developed, I don't know if this is 100% true, this is something I read a fair while ago. Some of the forces in America, or the police networks, were wanting a Glock style firearm, and they asked Glock to make their 17s, I assume it would be, or the 40 cal versions, without having to pull the trigger to remove the slide. Because obviously with a Glock, you have to pull the slide back, drop the levers down, and take the slide off. But the trigger has to have been relieved to do that. Smith and Wesson said, we can do that. So to pull a drop a Smith and Wesson slide off, you pull the slide back, pop this lever down, and then inside, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it, down under here there's a little lever, okay? Under the extractor there's a little lever. If you pop that lever down, you can then drop the slide forward and it comes straight off. There is some whinges and complaints about that because it's supposedly awkward. Smith and Wesson even give you a little tool to do it. In the bottom of the grip here, there's a little pin so that you can push that down. Like, come on, like so. So you can, oh, just popped it back up again. I never do it this way. I do it the Glock style way. Push that down and remove the slide. Okay, I didn't have to pull the trigger. So let's put it back on and I'll show you the other way. A lot of people complain. One of the negatives of, and you have to put the magazine in, bear with me. A lot of people complain the negatives of the M&P is that you have to relieve the little pin inside to take the slide off. It's not true. Glock style, put the slide back and lock the slide back. Pull the hatch down, drop the slide forward and pull the trigger. And off it comes, just like a Glock. Or, there's this little pin here. You should be able to see it better without the slide on. There's a little pin here. Slide that down. This one here, pop it down. Releases the sear in here. And then the slide pops straight off. But you don't have to do that. As I said, you can do it Glock style. So as you can see in the slide, it is very much Glock style. Got the trigger bar around the side. The trigger in the front here. On the top here is the slide release lever, and in the back here is the sear block with the sear, the extractor and the trigger springs, etc. Now it also has in the slide the striker block, very similar to a Glock. Now that's the main safety, so the trigger cannot be pulled and the gun cannot fire unless this is pushed in and relieved. You cannot push the firing pin forward unless the striker block is relieved. Okay. Now part of the Apex Tactical trigger kit we talked about replaces the striker block here, replaces the plunger and the spring underneath it. It also replaces the springs in the trigger, it replaces the trigger itself, and also springs within the striker block and the sear. Okay, so it is a very comprehensive kit, and it takes about 20 minutes to put in. Fortunately, Apex Tactical, or Randy from Apex Tactical to be exact, make a video to show it. It's on YouTube. Now the benefit of removing the slide without using the little pin inside is you don't have to put a magazine in to push that lever back up. So again, I really love this gun. I use this for competition only. We cannot carry in Australia, so a 5-inch gun is obviously fairly big for carrying. For those of you that have carried 1911s for many a year, etc., it wouldn't be a problem, of course. For me, wearing it around at the range and in the holster all morning or all day, it's not in the slightest bit heavy. Find it very light. I find 5 loaded magazines is far heavier. In comparison to my other firearm, which you can see in one of my other firearms, you can see in another video, my Kunin 357 Magnum. It's a almost identical overall dimension size gun, but it is obviously a stainless steel frame, a very big chunk of metal, compared to a stainless steel slide on the Smith and Wesson, a polymer frame, but it is also a steel lined frame. There's steel lining skeleton inside the frame, which is one of the advantages over a Glock. There has been testing over the years, not to diss a Glock or anything, but where you can see in slow motion a Glock's frame flexing under fire. The Smith and Wesson is the steel line frame, which technically could make it more reliable for longer term. So that's in size comparison to what everyone says a very, very large gun, and that is the Coonan. Amazing gun though, check out my other video. So let's roll in some footage of the Smith and Wesson. As I said, I run IPSC with it. I've shot everything out to 100 meters with it, and just never goes wrong. Absolutely never goes wrong. I have learned in loading my own rounds that it does not like small rifle primers. It likes pistol primers. It wasn't striking them hard enough, consistently. Let's roll in some range footage and see how we go.
Are you ready? Stand by. You finished unload, show clear. Clear, slide forward, hammer down and hold.